So today we are going to be working through how to register for the town's e-services portal as well as e-billing. The town has had an e-services portal for property taxes for a number of years, but we've just enabled e-billing in the last couple of months, and the January tax bill will be the first time that we actually can use it going forward. So we're trying to get as many people on that to test it out, see how it goes. For the January billing cycle, we will also be sending physical copies, so there's not a worry there. We want to make sure everybody gets one. But going forward, if all goes well, we would like to phase that out and hopefully save on some paper being printed, some postage, as well as ease of use for residents so they can refer back to tax bills online through the portal or through their email. So if you were planning to register for either of those today, you will need a copy of your tax bill for reference. Any of your previous bills should be fine as long as they show an access PIN code or as well as your roll number, as you'll need both of those for registration. So all you're going to need to do to start is go to your web browser, search up the town's website on the Greater Napanee, click on that. There will be some news banners, and you can click through them or ignore them if you wish, whichever you choose, maybe some relevant information. And then you're going to go to property taxes. This webpage actually has an abundance of information about your property taxes, how to pay, as well as some options. If you had, a mailing address change, say you don't live at the property you own, you can do that through web form here. So lots of stuff there for reference. But for today's uh, registration, we're going to go to the live section to my property. And then under my property, the hyperlink to Greater Napanee's e-services portal. So there's not a whole lot on the portal at this point in time. We're hoping that we can have utilities live on this in short order. We've just migrated our system, so we're hoping to have that moved over this year at some point, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 months, if all goes well, and as well as bringing e-billing for that. But that's likely a little ways away as well. But that is the plan. So right now it's just for property taxes, so very bare bones. There is a how to register tab, which we would like to update, and we'll update here now that e-billing is enabled. So we'll add a couple sections on that for e-billing. Uh, but it does still show how to register in great detail, but the e-billing portion, which can be done at registration, would be helpful for users to know as well. So we'll click back to the home section and we're going to hit register. If you haven't, or if you already have an account, this is why this is pre-populating. You don't need to do this portion. You should just be able to log in, but the intent of this is to work through anybody who's not registered. So we are going to use display name. So display name doesn't actually matter in terms of your login details. It's what'll show at the top of your account once you're logged in. So the distinction I would make in this is display name. You might have different logins for whatever different usernames. Usernames sometimes is like a combination of your name and some alphanumeric combination or something random of that nature. Whereas your display name, I would say this could be just your actual name. So I'm going to use the same for both, which you're able to do, but you don't have to. I'm just going to use town of Greater Napanee for sake of ease. Put in my email address, and then the same for username. Now, the password is sensitive, and I will put in one that is invalid just to show people what will trigger up. It does need to be 12 characters, and it does need some form of alphanumeric combination. I'll try and register it. It should give me a warning here. Yes. This password specified is invalid. Please specify a valid password. Passwords must be at least 12 characters in length and contain at least zero non-alphanumeric characters and must not match the username. So there's the breakdown. So put in one that is valid. Get through there. So register. Let that load. And as this is loading, I'll just mention for people who would like a physical bill, there's no requirement to register for e-billing when you're on the e-services portal. There is some information that exists on it that is helpful. You can, even without the e-billing portion, you can see your previous balances and so on and so forth. So that's of great use to some people, but I know a lot of people do still like the physical copy, and that's completely fine. So you can go through the stages of registration without actually doing the e-billing portion and still having access to the portal to refer back to balances. And the good thing about the portal is it is linked to our financial system in the sense that your balance will be up to date as to what you're currently owing, or if you have an unapplied credit, or what your current levies are on there. So you can see all of that information, but you don't necessarily have to have e-billing if you do not like that option, prefer physically. So as I said, your display name, that's up here in the top, right next to the logout function. So when we go to register and so on, you're going to click on your display name in the top right-hand corner. So, and this is where you're going to need your tax bill because there's information we need to pull off of this. So once we're here, and as of right now, it should only have one account type. In the future. As I mentioned, we're hoping to have utilities on here, but right now it'll just be property taxes. So you're going to select the property taxes drop down. There's a bunch of different fields that need to be filled out here. So the first being the jurisdiction number. And this is where we need to refer to our tax bill. So I've put some delineation here. So your jurisdiction number is basically a representation of an area in the municipality, but this has a drop down that can be used. So from the example we have here, the jurisdiction number is 020. So you're going to scroll through, select 020 former Napanee. So it should be the fifth, sixth, seventh digits on your tax bill when you have it there. Every rule within the municipality starts with 1121, so there's no distinction there. Doesn't matter which region of the municipality you live in. Next, we're going to move over to the roll number. So this is this is the remaining digits, including the dot of the full roll. So we're going to 01, 01, 02, 00, dot 0000. And then we have our access code PIN. I'm going to put in just a dummy code for now so people can see the warning that they would receive if they attempted to put something that was incorrect. And it'll appear the same warning regardless of if you put your role incorrectly in, or the jurisdiction number, or the PIN. So it's hard to delineate which one is which if it is incorrect. The most common error we see is the jurisdiction number, or people putting in their full roll number from 1121 onto the trailing 4 zeros. The PIN, just given the nature of it only being 4 digits, is a little less confusing for people and doesn't seem to cause them any error. So I'll hit save here. It should not trigger it in because the PIN is incorrect. So please enter a valid account number and an access PIN. So in this circumstance, when it says a valid account number, that's referring to the jurisdiction. A roll number or an access PIN is relatively self-explanatory in itself. So I'm going to adjust the PIN to a correct one. I won't do anything yet in terms of hitting save because I want to work through setting up the e-billing portion. So now that I know I have that incorrectly, I do want to select e-billing. So if you don't want e-billing, but you want to access the role you've entered in on e-billing or the e-services portal, my apologies, then you just hit save here. It'll add and it'll exist on the services portal when you log in. No problem. You'll still get your physical bill, but you can see your levies, your payments, so on and so forth through the portal. So I'm going to say that I do want e-billing. So please notify me by email that my property tax notice is ready. So this is where you're going to have two options. You can either have it send you an email and say that this email is saying that my tax bill is ready, and you log into the e-services portal to access it. Or you can have a PDF copy come directly through to it. So in your email, a PDF copy comes directly to your email and it would stay in your email. So either option, it's just whatever is easiest for each individual. I'm going to select attach a PDF copy just so I don't have to log in every time I would like to receive my bill, but either one works. And if you do choose to do view online, it is also a PDF attachment that's through the portal. And if you receive it directly in your email, that same attachment will be in the eServices portal. So it still coexists regardless of what option you select on the eServices portal. You can access it at any time through the portal, but it's just whatever is easiest for each resident. So before I hit save, I'm going to need it's a 6-digit verification code. So I'm going to need to hit send verification email. So I receive an email to my account to actually enable e-billing. So I'm going to send that verification code and we will pop over. It's going to keep my email on a separate screen. I've got my code. You're going to want to copy and paste that code into the verification code email. Oops, sorry, the verification code box. Doesn't want to copy. Type that in. So now that you've got everything loaded in, you've selected your option, so on, we are now going to hit save. And at this point in time, it should now appear on my account section, as well as show the email that it's selecting for e-billing. So I'm going to hit save. It may take a second to load. So perfect. So now you can see that this has been successfully added. So if I go back in and select property taxes, you'll see the role appears again and the email address of which I want my e-billing sent to. So if you wanted to change the address, say you've got a new email, or you wanted to go to a different email, you would go in here, go through that same process with the PIN, and you would update it again through that same process. So if we're looking in it now, this is where you can see all of the information on a property, bill summary, all of that, the transactions, everything associated with that. So that would be very similar what we would look through as staff to see. Here's the transactions that have gone through your account. You can see it on your end. You can see the breakdown of your taxation by school board, town, county, so on and so forth. And this goes year after year. It would only be till the ownership change. So say you bought your property in 2025, you'd only see from the change in ownership. But if you've had it since 2004, presumably, you could click all the way back and you should be able to see for a number of years. So if you ever get moved around on the portal itself, you can go back to the homepage. The kind of the best way to go back to your profile, see your accounts, you're going to hit Town of Greater Napanee and it should reappear there. So yeah, that's kind of the main breakdown of how you would register. As I said, you're gonna want your bill available when you're registering. So you can reference to that roll number and the PIN number. Once it's set up, relatively straightforward to use, but the setup portion is definitely the most difficult. If you ever needed to go in and change anything on your profile, you're going to hit Town of Greater Napanee at the top and edit profile, and that'll allow you to change address, contact info if you wish, manage your account where you can change your email, password, so on. One point of clarification is that if you change any of the address in here, it does not notify staff. So if you're looking to change your mailing address, it does not notify staff with the town that you've made that adjustment. So it will not be updated on your roll. So if you're trying to change your mailing address, you actually have to do that through the website, through the previous page that I had mentioned on the My Property section. If you're trying to change your address, it still need to be done through the web form, unfortunately. So that would be through here. The e-services portal doesn't have that functionality at this time. So yeah, that's the bulk of how to work through this. And you can always add more accounts. Say you own 3 or 4 properties within the municipality. It's the same process for all of them. Unfortunately, you can't do 3 properties at once. You do have to go through each of them to register. So if you had 3 or 4 different ones, you do need the roll number, the PIN for each, and register the email for each time after time. So it can be a little cumbersome if you own multiple properties, but that possibility is there for that. And they would all appear under this tab here where you would have each of them showing, the property information, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's the main breakdown of how you would go through and register. As I said, we will update the how to register portion to include the e-billing thing. If residents do have any struggle or they've been locked out of their account, forgotten password, struggling to enter that, town staff do have the ability to reset those on the back end. The site itself was not developed by town staff, but if there's any input or feedback on little options that could be added to maybe make it a little easier for registration or use, please send those through to myself at nmurphy@greaternapanee.com, and we could pass them along to the software provider to see if they can make slight adjustments and hopefully make it a little more user friendly for all involved. But we're very hopeful that this will be a useful addition for both staff and residents, and a little more ease of use for anybody who's likes e-billing, online services, and so on. Yeah, so like I said, if you have any questions, you can reach out via email or phone through the town's main line, or other means as needed. Thank you.